As you can see, the title is all about personas in pedagogical context and technology. So I'm Betsy Gilbertson. I'm an instructional designer with Auburn Online, which is part of our Teaching and Learning Center at Auburn University. And I've been an instructional designer for almost 30 years. So
I'm Amy Conway. I'm also an instructional designer at Auburn University. Betsy and I are colleagues, and we have some other people that we'll introduce you to on the slides that helped develop this presentation.
all right, so of course, there's a number of objectives that we want to make sure we meet, but the first one was explaining how personas functions as scalable engagement frameworks. The key here that we want to highlight is that it's written regardless of AI. We're talking about AI a lot today, right? But ours is, whether it's AI or not, it's very important. So, okay, so the next one is identifying the 4 engagement mechanism activated by persona-based designs. We're going to walk through those as we go through the presentation. And evaluating how emerging technologies, and because we all want to talk about AI, we are going to cover that a little bit within the frameworks.
All right, so just to reiterate, we want to make sure that we give credit to everyone on our team who helped create the things that you're going to see today. There are about 40 people that work with Auburn Online, and it's made up of 6 different teams. So we have a course production team, we have a media team that does videos and things, we have our group of instructional designers, we have a programming team, we have a project management team, and we have a group of incredibly talented people who create augmented reality situations and other creative elements. So we want to make sure that we don't give the impression that we did all of the technical work in this because we don't have all of those abilities, but we are thankful to be able to share the work that our team has done. In addition to Betsy and myself, there are 3 other instructional designers who co-wrote the paper on which this presentation is based. And Sydney, Megan, and Amanda Wilcox are all have similar roles to what we do. Some of the examples of personas that you see today are from courses that we developed, as well as the 3 ladies that you see on the screen. All right. So this track that we're on today is about student engagement and enhancing student engagement. And we know that engaging students continues to be a challenge in higher ed. We know, based on a presentation just a moment ago, it's a challenge for primary students, it's a challenge for middle school students, and it's a challenge for college students. It's a challenge for adults. It's a challenge for any challenge for faculty. It's a challenge for all of us. But we want to make sure that we are enhancing student engagement while keeping the pedagogy strong and solid. The courses that we work on are primarily online courses, so we help build engaging learning experiences in an online environment. A lot of times technology becomes the focus when you're talking about designing for an online environment, and that is not the way we build courses, and that is not our approach. So what we want to make sure that we're emphasizing today is that engagement is not shaped by the tools that are used, but by the way the learning is designed and the way it's implemented in the course.
Perfect. So what are personas? I don't know if some of you may have worked with them in the past, but our definition here is having deliberately, I can't say that word, constructed representations of people in a defined professional, social, or disciplinary role. We use them across different formats, whether it's a credit course, whether it's a professional course, we have different scenarios for that. So the personas that we're sharing today are functions of pedagogical anchors that connect the abstract from the disciplinary subjects that they're in, and being able to allow professional and social situations for them to be able to relate those two directly. And so we will often have implement personas within very specific learning experiences. However, today we're discussing their fit within various pedagogical theories across multiple programs. As we said before, with the 3 ladies that we have, we're going to show a different set of courses across our entire university. We are a central unit, so it's not just one discipline. So, and we're going to talk about the varying levels of technology and complexities that we use from the basic to the advanced. Okay. So, we want to talk about the engagement and what drives them. So we have a couple different concepts that we work within, and one is authentic contextualization. I should read that there. Cognitive organization, perspective taking, so you can see it from different areas, and we'll have an exact example of that for you coming up soon. And multimodal alignment. So that there's different contexts within that. So the key that we have is that, of course, there's these different theories that we have, but all of the technology falls within that. So it's not just exactly one-to-one or any alignments. They can fall, whether it's the photos and written personas, which is the low tech, that can be within any of those. So that, as we said before, the tool is not what drives it. It's what allows us to do that. So the first low tech is written. The next level up is animated personas. We do those as kind of like cartoons. We saw Snoopy up here in the last one. Ours is not Snoopy, but you know, something like that. Then we have AI chatbots that we incorporate as well into specific courses, all the way up to an actual AI avatar that they can interact with.
All right, so next we want to just touch briefly on the theoretical foundations on which these courses were built. So we're not just creating personas because they're fun and cool, but we want to make sure that we communicate there is a strong theoretical foundation in the work that we do. So situated learning, we know that knowledge, when students learn about something in a particular situation, that knowledge is more transferable to other similar situations. Sociocultural theory, where social interaction increases learning, increases engagement, which engagement increases learning. The cognitive load theory, where we try to minimize cognitive processes for things not related to the learning. So organization, if you keep things the same, it reduces the cognitive load throughout the course, so students can focus on the content rather than the navigation or figuring out what's happening in the learning environment. And then finally, narrative coherence. So when you have consistent characters across either the course or across a program, then that also supports schema development for students. All right, now we're going to get into the personas themselves. We've laid the foundation, why engagement matters, what theories we're using, and now we're going to look at specific examples. So first up, the low tech end. Betsy shared the continuum. The low tech end is the static personas. And we're going to share two examples. One is from a Foundations of Management course. The challenge for this is there's a course in the College of Business that is required for non-business majors. So you have students from interior design, aviation management, wildlife management that have to take a business course, and they have no idea why they're having to take it. So they're disengaged. That was the challenge. They come into it not understanding the relevance, and they're disengaged. So the design solution to this challenge is 7 personas representing the most highly enrolled majors in that course were developed, introduced at the beginning of the course, and those personas are used to make various business management foundations relevant for students. Everything from Porter's 5 Forces to different ways of the VRIO, which is a business acronym that just talks about that just means what makes a business special, what makes it stand out in the field. And here's an example of how this would be applied in our learning management system. So over on the left are 6 of the other personas that are used. I don't know if you can see those from where you are, but it shows the name of the person as well as the level of or the field in which of their management. And then here's part of an example from a person who majored in aviation management, and it tells a little bit of a story. And this one is related to, I think this was related to working in global groups. I can't remember exactly, but it tells a story. And then at the end, the students are asked questions related to the situation that is described. So after they've learned the management concepts, they're presented with a situation where, in this case, airline management students would be able to see themselves in that persona addressing the situated learning theory that we talked about. The next example of static persona is in a social work course. So completely different area of the university. And this one is focusing on the sociocultural theory. So the challenge here is that introductory social work students have a difficult time differentiating between the historical context in the field of social work from the instructor's perspective. So they don't have enough background knowledge to know what is the instructor thoughts versus what is historical fact. And so the design to address that was to create a clear example of what is the instructor's perspective. So this is an animated example of the instructor, and anywhere in the course, so this is consistent throughout the course, to specifically call out for students, this is the instructor telling his perspective. So that is the way those two personas, those two examples of static personas were used in their courses.
Okay, so next level up is the animated characters, which becomes kind of like the cartoon. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Beyond or Powtoons or any of those things, but those are some of the platforms that we use for that. So the animated characters that we have in Mass Timber is part of the social culture theory, because the challenge of this is that we had like 4 or 5 different disciplines that we're all supposed to learn about what the others are doing from a very groundwork perspective and understand what that meant. So that means that the personas each had to be an industrial level persona that gives the perspective of that to the student. So an engineer student would see a persona of a forester and understand what they're conveying in that particular module, and though they are succinct throughout. So it's the same personas throughout all the modules, even though it's engineering, architecture, landscape design, forestry, and construction management, all in one course. So that's quite the undertaking. But yeah, so yeah, we have to click on it. Let's see.
It didn't. There
It
it
is. Okay, so I'm just gonna jump ahead a little bit.
Hello, and welcome
she
to
is.
this module. I'm Nia Williams, a licensed architect specializing in sustainable design, and I'll be guiding you through this module. In this module, we will examine 2 landmark mass timber projects.
There we go. Okay, so that's an example of our architect. Okay, so another animated character is the narrative cohesion that we talked about. So this is an online brewing course. And what it had to do was it had to take the students from an online scenario and allow them to feel and see what it's like to be part of the actual brewing process, from when the tanks come in to the actual making of the beer, right?
We have a Master's of Brewing Science program at Auburn University. So it's an online course that teaches students how to brew beer.
It is a football place. So yeah, so what we had created, but the instructional designers dream child, was that there would be a simulated beer can that would narrate throughout the course specific content that really needed to stand out. And AU Brew shows up in multiple courses, so he's there along the way.
Hello, brewing enthusiasts. I'm AU Brew, your friendly guide to the fascinating world of brewing science here at Auburn University. Hello, brewing.
Okay. All right, so those were our animated. Okay. Great. So actually, not all of our courses are credit bearing. So one of the courses that we built was actually for our administrative assessment group on campus that goes around and does the departments and the programs, not the actual learning. It's for how the program and the departments are running themselves. So the AI chatbot was created so that we have staff that can go in and take this as educational credits for HR. They get their trainings, they do all of that. And so we created this so that they can learn about the process without someone who's there all the time. It's kind of a self-paced professional development, so there isn't someone there monitoring it all the time. And this was put into an assignment so that the students, when they're building their plan at the end of the, I think it's 8 modules, can ask the questions and be like, what am I missing in my plan? What do I need? So you can see this is, and she shows up throughout the course as an animated person in the videos, just like AU did. And she talks about all the topics. And then at the end, they ask questions like, I'm confused about creating objectives for my plan. Can you help? And then she, as the chatbot, responds, yes, I can help you develop these in this way. And that does get turned in and they get a badge, and there is someone who will review the plan once it's submitted, but this helps alleviate them trying to contact an instructor while she's also doing another full-time job. So.
And it gives students, well, it gives users the opportunity to get feedback on their submissions, formative feedback, rather than waiting until the end to get the final submission, the final feedback from the faculty.
Because if they don't pass, they don't get the badge. So they want to.
And the last example that we're going to share is up on the far end of the technology spectrum with AI avatars. The example that we're sharing here is also a part of situated learning. This example was created for students who are part of an occupational, career, and placement services situation where they needed to evaluate workplaces for various reasons. But different cohorts had different access to live workplaces that they could go to. It was difficult to get those places scheduled. So the design solution was to create an XR. I don't know if that is a term that everybody uses, but
augmented reality.
Extended reality, virtual reality situation where students could interact with an avatar representing the Human Resources Department at Auburn University. We have an example of that. So you're going to see a human speaking avatar who welcomes the students and responds to questions that they can ask.
Oh.
That's right. Oh, why can't they hear it? Yeah, let's see. Let me make her louder.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. I'm gonna try it right here. Let me try it with this instead of the mouse.
You don't get to hear. She's really cool.
Yeah, this is the best one.
It really is.
Okay.
4:45 p.m.
Thank
If
you.
you
Okay, here we go. Okay.
Hello, I'm Julie Vargas, the Human Resources Manager here at Auburn University. We have an open position for a human resources generalist, and I understand that you have a client who may be a good fit. You can explore the office freely, and I will be right here to answer any questions you may have. Just click the microphone icon beside me and then ask your question.
Let's just, gonna hear that.
What are the work hours for this position?
So that was a real
The normal
person.
work hours for human resources generalists at Auburn University are Monday through Friday from 7:45 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. If you have more questions or want to explore the office, feel free to ask.
So I wanted to get it off that screen so it didn't replay the video over and over. That is an example of an avatar that was trained on various materials provided to us by the subject matter experts. So then whatever the students asked, the avatar could respond with feedback from the workplace. So the main point that we're trying to make today is this statement right up here, that pedagogical intensity or intentionality more than any technology shapes the impact of personas. So how consistently the roles, the context, and the perspective reinforce relevance, cognitive coherence, and social presence across modalities. That is what makes personas effective, and that is what keeps student engagement, not the level of technological complexity. But as AI continues to advance, we will keep evaluating how personas and the technologies that bring them to life shape learning. Any questions?
Thank you.